What's good, people? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm basically going to be painting the valve cover on my car's engine red. So what I'm doing here is I'm just undoing the 3 bolts that hold the valve cover to the engine. It's just like 3 little 10mm bolts on there. So now I'm just removing the 4 spark plug wires so that when I take the valve cover off it's not going to interfere with me taking it off. This one was actually a bit difficult to pull out, but I finally got it. So I managed to break the valve cover loose, so now what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it up away from the engine and I'm just going to remove it. So just got a rag and I just removed it. Now I'm just cleaning the valve cover down with just some soapy water. This is just to remove all the dust, dirt, oil and all that kind of stuff off it. And here I'm just masking up the areas that I don't want to get paint on, because obviously, you know, when I start spraying on I don't want to get paint like where the oil goes and the PCV valve hole and the spark plug hole, stuff like that. So it's just a precautionary measure. So now I'm just sanding the valve cover down with some fine sandpaper. I'm just trying to remove like these oil marks and oil spots I couldn't get off of the engine degreaser and the soapy water. So I'm just trying to get the valve cover as smooth as possible so that paint actually sticks to it when I do spray it shortly. As you can see now, I've masked the whole thing up. So I've put like tape over where the oil cap goes. I've put newspaper down the spark plug holes, and I've like taped over the sticker here as well because I don't want to get paint on that. On the back of the valve cover, I also covered where the PCV valve hose goes as well. I'm going to be using some leftover caliper paint from when we painted the calipers red on Bailey's Levin. So I definitely recommend you need to use high temp paint for this, because if you don't and you paint your valve cover, it gets extremely hot, right? So if you don't use high temp paint, then what's going to happen is the paint on your valve cover is going to crack over time. So now I'm just moving this outside because I don't want to do this in the garage and like risk getting overspray on my dad's car, so I'm just doing it out on the grass. I'm applying the first layer of paint now, and usually what people do is they'd use like a couple of coats of primer beforehand, but I'm actually not going to do that today. I'm just skipping that step because honestly I just don't feel like it's necessary for this, to be honest. So all I'm doing is I'm going to spray 4 coats of this like red high temperature spray paint. So yeah, this is the first coat. And when you're painting, you got to understand that you're not trying to like drench the entire valve cover in one go. You want to like gradually apply the paint throughout the 4 different coats that you're going to do. So, you know, once you have finished it, like it will look good, but it's just you don't want to put too much paint on that first couple of layers. You want to do it like very thin, like what I'm doing here. This is the 4th and final coat of paint now, and as you can see, like the valve cover starting to look very, very good, man. Very nice. I skipped the 2nd and 3rd coat because, you know, you don't need to see me doing this 4 different times, but as you can see, because I applied the paint like gradually over the 4 coats, like fuck, that just looks so good now, man. Like it's a nice bright red, which is exactly what I wanted. Now that the paint's on the valve cover, I'm going to be using this clear coat. I'm going to be doing 3 coats of that just to like finish it off, so let's get into it. It's the same process as before, really. I'm just going to be spraying 3 coats of this. I'm just going to be evenly coating the valve cover like the exact same thing I was doing when I was spray painting it before. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of like fast forward through this bit since you've already seen me like spray paint. It's literally the exact same thing. Now that this is dry, it's time to go install it back on the car. I actually forgot, so I have a slight oil leak coming from my valve cover, so I'm going to be using this silicone sealant to seal that up. So all I'm doing is running this sealant around the outside of the valve cover like so. You only need a thin layer of this. You don't really need too much because it sticks quite well. I was recommended this by like a few mates who are mechanics, so I'm going to try it out and see what happens, because basically I might need a new rocker cover gasket. So I called up Toyota to kind of see how much it would cost. And I thought like 140 was the max, which I was expecting, but they're quoting me 270. 270, man, for a piece of rubber. Are they taking the piss, mate? 270. So I'm just like, nah, fuck that. I'm not paying 270 for that. So I hit up a few mates who are mechanics, and they recommended I try the sealant to seal it up and see if that stops the oil leak. I mean, it's honestly not too bad. It's only a very slight leak coming out of this corner right here as the main spot, which is why you see me like putting a bit more of the sealant on the corner bit to try seal it up. So yeah, I'm going to see if this works, and we'll let you guys know what happens with it. I mean, it might not. We'll have to see. Anyway, it's time to put this valve cover back on. So again, I'm just doing up the 3 10mm bolts right now. Just hand tightening them at the moment. Then I'm going to come in with my ratchet in a second and fully tighten them down. These bolts don't need to be extremely tight, like just snug, man. You don't want to overdo it and like crush your gasket. I want to show you guys a quick before and after of this valve cover as well. So here's a before shot. And here's the after. So as you can see, it looks pretty sick, man. It makes the engine bay look way better in my opinion. Give me some of those. Alright, so we're back. Just picked up a few things from Super Cheap. So we got this anti-fog here because my windshield keeps fogging up so bad I literally can't see at night. So I'm going to try this and see if this works. We got some more tint because we're about to tint Bailey's the bin because we're not going to have enough tint. And I saw these, they were like 10 bucks, just like wheel caps, so I thought fuck it, might as well buy them, so we're going to slap those on too. Chuck me another one. We just got back home, about to do a few things on my brother's car now, so we got a tin, he's just changing the oil at the moment, and a few other bits and pieces. So what I'm about to do is take both the door panels off, and then clean the windows and prep them properly for tint. Because if you guys saw one of the last videos, I absolutely cooked the tint job on the passenger side a couple weekends ago, so I just rushed and didn't take my time and didn't do it properly, so we're going to redo it today and hopefully get a good finish. But I'll just show you guys like how bad this is. It's kind of hard to pick it up on the camera, but you can see there's like a lot of air bubbles and like a lot of fingers throughout the tin. Like, oh, it just doesn't look good. You're gonna have to trust me on that. It's just loosening the drain bolt at the moment to drain this oil out under the car. Fuck. Just get an impact on it. We've got an impact socket. So the oil sump bolt's on pretty tight, so what we've done is just sprayed it with some WD-40 here, and then we're using a bigger breaker bar and an impact socket right there, and that should get it off. I just want to fucking smash my hand. There we go.
Fucking hit my hand.
Yep. So now all he's going to do is take this bolt out and you're going to see the oil start to drain out of the pan in a sec. Yep. Now I'm going to come up top and remove the oil cap so it drains a bit faster. Because it's going to let more air in the system, so there you go. Got the door panel off now, but while I'm here I'm going to like clean behind the door panel and like down here in the trim as well, because if you guys don't know, I'm a bit OCD when it comes to my cars. I just need everything to be clean, so I'm just going to, while this door panel's off, I might as well clean all this stuff now because it's so dirty, like if you can see all that, and like down here as well, so that's what I'm about to do. About to show my brother and you guys how to use a torque wrench, because basically with certain parts in the engine they have to be torqued down to a certain spec, right? So here's your torque wrench here. So for the oil drain pan bolt it's 44 Nm, which is 44 Newton meters. So you can see here on the torque wrench, well it's kind of hard for you guys to see that, but that's Newton meters, and there's like a scale of numbers here. So you want to loosen this black thing on the bottom here, so you loosen that, and that allows you to like turn this back and forth, and then you got a dial of numbers here which goes from 0 to 12, and you got a dial here which goes up to 200, right? So we want 44 Newton meters. So if you see here, there's like you won't be able to see it on the camera, but basically it says 42, right? So then we want to turn this until it's lined up with that 42, so the 0 on the torque wrench is on the number 42 on the graph right here. So then what you want to do is we want 44, right? So you want to add 2 more. So then you'd twist it until it hits the 2, and then bang. Now that's 44 Newton meters of force, which is fuck all, but that's what you need to do to torque it. And you're going to make sure that's like the right way. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it makes sense to me.
Basically you set it to the 42 and then you add 2 to make 44.
Yep. What he's doing now is he's going to put the torque wrench on the bolt, and you basically just turn it until you hear it click twice. So you just turn it clockwise until you hear it click twice. Yep. And I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's the 2 clicks, so it's good. Not going to overfill it here, we're just filling it just enough. So here's the thing, right? If you underfill it, it doesn't matter. You should just add a bit more. But if you overfill it, the only way to take that out is if you undo the drain plug in. We obviously don't want to do that. So definitely underfill it rather than overfill. We're just putting some stop leak in, and what this is going to do is there's like a slight oil leak somewhere in this engine, which is like pretty standard on old Toyota engines. They'll leak a bit of oil. It's nothing major, but we're just putting stop leak in to see if it's going to fix the leak. And if not, then we might have to change like a seal or something somewhere in the engine, so we have to see how this goes. I mean, it might work, it might not, we'll just see, but you know, it's only 20 bucks, so you might as well give it a shot before you spend like hundreds of bucks on parts. So we have the new piece of film later on the window, so I'm just going to do the cutouts for it. So I'm going to cut this side and I'm going to cut the top, so I'm going to start from down here. One straight cut, and then now we're going to do the side. Boom. And then with this corner piece here, I'll show them. So with this corner piece, because the mirror's in the way, it's pretty hard to cut it on the vehicle. So what I do is I just get a Sharpie and I line it down here, and I actually take it off this bit. I just cut it like on the window. It's way easier that way. You just want to use a ruler or so to make sure the line's straight. So now we're about to cut this line we just made. So you'll see I'm going to get the ruler and I'm going to cut it. So I know I've said this before, but you want to make sure you have a stainless steel blade, because if you don't, and you go and cut it on your window, you're going to damage your window. Also, as well, when you're doing this, you do not want to apply a lot of pressure to the window, because again, even with a stainless steel blade, you can still mark up your window, which you obviously don't want. So I'm going to line this up as best I can, about here. One nice straight cut, and then bang. So now what you want to do here is you have these like sharp edges on the corner, so you want to round them off. So you literally just get your fingernail and you get the knife and you just cut them like that, so they're not sharp straight edges. The tint's cut now, so I'm just doing a quick clean of the inside of the window again, and then we're going to apply this tint. So hopefully it goes better than last time. So we've got the tint on the window now. I've got our thumbs to hold it down. So we're just about to pull this plastic liner off the bottom and then get the bottom aligned in. So the tint's on. So what I'm doing now is I'm using this tool here, and I'm just flushing all the remaining water and like the air bubbles and stuff out of the tint, so it's like a nice smooth finish. There's still like little bits of water trapped in there. So just flushing it out the top. Something else I want to touch on is that this tint, it's 15% tint, right? So it's an illegal tint. And the reason why we've chosen to do that is because of the fact that a nice dark tint on any car just looks better. So the legal limit for these kind of cars is 35%, so you can't go below that, right? But we just decided just 15% tint on any car just looks better. I got 15% tint on my car as well. Like it's the only issue is that you can't pass warrants with it, but when the warrant comes we just peel it off, so you know, it doesn't really matter. So there's the tint. It's honestly the best one we've done so far. Like, it's absolutely perfect. I'm fucking stoked on that, man. I'm so happy with that. It's way better than fucking the one I did a couple weekends ago. That's horrible, man. So door panel's going back on now. Just getting some gas before the meet. Let's get it. It's legit so many people right here now. We're just trying to look for a park, me and Bailey. We just can't find one, man. Fuck, nearly fell, man.
Decent one from up there.
Cops busted it.
Boys, we got some tandems going down!
Fuck that's right, man.
Police brutality! Police brutality!
Come on, officer! Oh, you're a fucking liar!
Fuck you, boss!
Hey, everyone stand around the car!
I'm not really sure what happened, but basically when I turned up to the spot, I went and parked my car and I was like walking down and I could like kind of see in the distance that there were already cops there. So I just kind of assumed they already like shut down the spot. But as I got closer, I saw like a huge crowd of people and I just wondered what was going on. So I just walked over and then literally it's like maybe 20 seconds after I walk over, this guy's just getting arrested right in front of me on the hood of a cop car. And I was just like, eh? I kind of asked a few people like what happened, but no one really knew. So it wasn't until a couple days later I heard something where apparently the guy was like assaulting the cop, like not punching him or anything, like just apparently just a few pushes, and then he just got arrested for that. So I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I heard. So that's kind of funny, man. Like literally just pulled up at the perfect moment. Guys getting arrested on the hood of the cop car just cracked me up. As you can tell from like the videos, people at those car meets, man, they absolutely hate cops. They hate cops. I mean, I didn't have a problem with them, man. They're just doing their job because obviously skidding and whatnot's illegal, but they just hate cops there, man. Like, fuck me. It was pretty crazy just seeing that happen right in front of me because that's not what I expected. Like, I don't really go to drags that much. It's not really my thing, but I kind of just went 'cause, you know, it's like a huge meet and it's like the first like proper one since the lockdown. So yeah, fuck it, might as well just go. And it's actually a pretty good night, to be honest. So yeah, anyway, that's all I got for today's video. So I'll see you guys in the next one.